Welcome. So here's what we know. The global leader for Khamenei is the supreme leader is gone. So, if you want, uh, these are developing reports. Okay, some outlets are confirming, others are disputing. Okay, you can see, you can see and hear me. We will separate confirmed facts from claims. All right, claims of an Israeli strike targeting compound. So what is being reported? The claims of an Israeli attack, claims of an Israeli strike targeting its compound. Number two, Israeli official position. Number three, Iranian denial or counterclaim, and we are going to discuss the statements from US officials. Okay, so for this, I want us to hear, I want us to hear documents. I want us to hear a report. Um, let's see. Number nine. So, um, it was in this region, Karachi, Tehran, Iran, Minaj. There's a region. This is the this region. Where was it? Let's continue here. So, from what I've gathered, um, from what I've gathered, so here's what we know. Khamenei was the leader for the Iran, and the Israelis have gone there and taken him down. So, yeah, that's the gist. So here's what you know. Um, Khamenei was the top Iran leader, not just the fake guy. He was the top guy. So this means a lot to the Iranian population, and because he was the guy who Iran had nuclear. Let me confirm. So he was the leader of the Iran armed forces. Okay, and he controls the Islamic Revolution Guard IRGC, and ultimate authority over foreign policy. He was a very strong leader for Iran. So we're going to discuss the immediate regional impact. Okay, the possible retaliation against Israel, US US military bases in the region, how is it affected, Hezbollah involvement, and Gulf state reaction. So let's continue here this piece. We see. And here, he was 86 years old. So this is very, can you hear? 86 years old. So this is very sad. Yeah.
Iran. They have got clerics lined up to take that position in the same way that they have planes lined up over Ben Gurion on the landing approach. So what does that mean for the future there in terms of the theocracy if that were to continue?
Israel is looking east right now to the threat from Iran, but they're also looking north and south. Iran's largest proxies are Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group in southern Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. Hezbollah, according to an intelligence official I spoke to recently, still has thousands of rockets and missiles, and around half of them are within range of Israeli cities. And this is a serious threat still posed to Israel, despite the fact that the Israelis have degraded and destroyed much of the Hezbollah arsenal. It still poses a threat to Israel. You might remember, as we reported throughout the past 2.5 years, the Israelis decapitated the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, with a strike in the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut. They went after the missile launching positions we saw on the ground there in southern Lebanon as the Israelis meticulously moved field by field and cave by cave to go after these positions that had been dug into the sides of mountains. But despite those efforts, this is an organization that had decades of support from the Iranian regime, and they were able to smuggle in missiles and rocket components that now make up what is left of that arsenal. And while it is a smaller arsenal than before, it is a threat. And Hezbollah in the past, just the past several days, has said that if Iran's supreme leader was targeted, they would get directly involved in this war. And so that is where Israel is focused right now. As it relates to the situation on the ground in Iran, we do have to step back amid all of this military action and these serious decisions that were made by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There is still an understanding about how the structure of the Iranian regime operates. Iran's supreme leader reportedly had already prepared successors. Iran's IRGC had already prepared successors for the top commanders of their military, understanding that if a war erupted, these would be the individuals targeted in such a conflict. And so this isn't over. This is actually just beginning. But it does raise questions about the future of the region and where things are headed once this does conclude.
Also crossing right now, a source familiar to Fox News is saying some Gulf partners are responding to Iran defensively and offensively. Trey, since the last time you joined us,
can you drop the comments that you think about Khamenei? I'm sorry, I don't know. Does this escalate into a regional war? So what happens inside Iran? So who becomes the supreme leader in Iran after all these incidences? The assembly of that first process, the possible um, the possible power struggle within the IRGC, and the risk of internal unrest. So we're looking at the global consequences that are going to arise from the death of Khamenei. We have oil prices are going to be affected briefly because I think the region also produces a lot of oil. So you have the global market, the shipping in the Strait of Hamas, and the US election implications if relevant. So let's continue to hear the breakdown of the scene.
top of the last hour, we got word that President Trump had sat down for this several-minute interview with Axios, in which he said he believes he has several off-ramps from Operation Epic Fury, talking about how long this could take. It could end in 2 or 3 days, said the president. He could tell the Iranians, see you again in a few years if you start rebuilding your nuclear and missile programs. This was about a 5-minute interview that the president conducted, but suggesting there could still be a diplomatic solution or opportunity, Trey.
Absolutely. This is the Peace Through Strength initiative that the president ran on when he was running for his second term. And when you look at the region, there are players in the region, including the Iranians, that often only understand strength. And that is a fact in the Middle East. And it's the reason that the Israelis have approached the conflicts that they are involved in the way that they have. As it relates to Iran and the possibility of a diplomatic off-ramp, if this does continue for a number of days and the regime is weakened, we have already heard in interviews that took place today from other outlets with Iran's foreign minister, who indicated at least a small interest in a diplomatic path, understanding that at the end of this, the Iranian regime had one major factor, one lever to pull, and that was their ballistic missile program. Now, while they still will fire ballistic missiles, likely in the days ahead, when they have no nuclear weapon, they have a limited supply of missile launchers, and their regional proxies have been decimated over the past 2.5 years, it raises a very significant question. What does Iran have left to fight with if this is an extended campaign that lasts for several days or several weeks? They certainly do pose a threat. They have anti-ship missiles. They have ballistic missiles. But their ability that they had, and really we should look at October of 2023, the ability that they had before the war began with Hamas launching the brutal massacre into southern Israel on the morning of October 7th. When you think back 2.5 years ago, this is a totally different Iranian regime. It is a weakened regime. It is a regime that cracked down on protesters, slaughtering, according to President Trump, 32,000 of their own civilians. That's behavior from a regime that is cornered, understanding that they have very limited options of how to respond. And so the days ahead will be quite interesting to see how the Israelis and the Americans move forward with strikes against Iran. But certainly in these situations, we have often seen temporary ceasefires when conflict erupts in order to get some sort of deal together. And just one concluding point here that I want to note, back during the 12-day war in June of 2025, as we reported here on the ground amid heavy incoming ballistic missile fire, that war
So it confirmed. So it confirmed. Is this the biggest geopolitical shift in 20 years? So does this weaken Iran or unify it? Is this deterrent and escalation?
was unfolding with casualties here in Israel, more than 24 people killed. The Israelis launching a series of strikes across Iran, trying to take out those air defense systems. But it was when President Trump ordered Operation Midnight Hammer that the Iranians suddenly responded just once against a base in Qatar, the Al Udeid base, and then in a way backed off. And it was President Trump, one man, who was able to decide the outcome of what comes next. And I remember a moment here on the ground. Israeli fighter jets were in the skies on their way to continue with the bombing campaign against Iran, and President Trump got on the phone and called off the strikes. So when the president feels that there's an opportunity for a deal, there are options and off-ramps to be taken.
All right. Trey, confirming right here per senior Israeli officials that the supreme leader is gone. Trey, thank you very much. We'll get another update from you shortly.
Hey,
So what are the possible outcomes out of this? Probably the Israeli are going to go back and maybe continue to do continue to continue to continue where they left off, and I think US US President Donald Trump says attacks are a part of major combat operations against Iran. So this is a very good story to look at. Um, Thank you for being here. See you in the next one. And tell me any comment. Thank you very much.